Why is your voice so teeny tiny?
Okay, so someone once said that the chicken, there's something nauseating about the chicken, and I was.
As a hostel parent, people would like to know, what's your relationship with Dr. Ken? A lot of students have said, and I quote, "You can almost pass as besties." Please elaborate on your relationship with Dr. Ken.
I don't like answering that question.
A ball on one's neck is of much interest to that individual than 40 earthquakes in Africa.
Nobody ever believes me when I tell them how old I am.
Forget about that part of the question. The next 10 years, I hope to be married. I'll be 27.
For some teachers, I was more of a nightmare though, for all the IT teachers, because I'll never do the right thing on the IT computers. Just always playing games with just me and my boys.
Do you have a boyfriend?
So this question,
Yeah.
I know exactly who sent in this question. I've seen you. Yes, currently, I'm in a complicated relationship with, IBDP. I see a breakup on the horizon.
I don't know why there is a ban. I mean, people are gonna form relationships regardless of whether you tell them to or not, and they're only in school for a limited amount of time, and then they have the summer vacation.
Apple juice is coming. It will come before this semester will end.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Couch Controversy, a show dedicated to answering your burning questions. For this week's episode, we have a very special guest from our school's biology department. We have Mr. Siita. Hello, Mr. Siita, how are you doing?
I'm doing well.
Okay, so we are going to start this interview off very light. So how long have you been teaching in TIS?
I would say I'm going up to 5 years.
Wow. Okay, so for these 5 years that you have been here, how have you liked it? First of all, have you even liked it? And
I think it's interesting. Going through the various years, I met a lot of very interesting students. Yes, some of them were very intelligent, some of them were socially amenable. A lot of these students are still in touch with me, and I've enjoyed the teaching experience since I've come to TIS.
Okay, so how do you say TIS has affected you both mentally and physically?
Yes, looking at the international nature of the program, I think that anyone who finds themselves here will develop a sense of open-mindedness. Yes, apart from just teaching a curriculum which is foreign, we also have a lot of students that come from different backgrounds. So we have a rich cultural experience, and I'm very glad to be a part of it.
Okay.
Yeah, it has given me the mindset to be more open-minded, and then also to know that people come from different walks of life, and usually in dealing with these people, we have to adopt different styles or strategies, so that at the end of the day, whatever we are looking at will be achievable, even in terms of student performance. I teach biology, but when I came, I had the opportunity to teach subjects like TOK as well, and then also I have also supervised a lot of extended essays across. I've taught students from grade 7. When I came, I had a grade 7 class, all the way to DP2. And it's interesting dealing with these students from all these various years. Some of them leave, we have established relationships. They still contact me for advice. I'm still a mentor to a lot of students who have left the school. And I'm still mentoring some students who are here, and we are building a lot of relationships, which will be very productive in the long run.
Okay, so you are known as a very friendly teacher. Students feel very open around you, and because of this, they feel free enough to give you certain nicknames. Can you share some of the nicknames you have?
Well, if they are nicknames, I wouldn't be sure. I am aware of that. Unless the students tell me. They don't call me those nicknames in my presence. Okay. So I wouldn't know for sure.
Okay. So,
but I do know the way they pronounce my name sometimes. Mr. Siita. It's usually very funny. And, well, it's stuck. So we are just going on with that.
Okay. So we are talking about how much you love being in TIS. So if you were offered $15,000 right now to leave the school and never come back, would you do it?
Well, it depends. 15,000, I feel that my value goes beyond that, even now. Yeah, so 15,000 might not tempt me just to leave. But when I do leave, it will be for a worthy cause. I would have ensured that my impacts will remain even in TIS. Once you have the opportunity to impact students, it doesn't end even when you leave the institution. It still goes on, right? Even outside the institution. As I said, last year I supervised Torrance, and now Torrance usually asks me a lot of advice, even now, moving forward, yet from his university. Recently he's moving to Pennsylvania. I have had to give him a new recommendation to move to that place. So that is what I'm saying. We are building relationships, and I'm proud to be a part of TIS. If one day I do find myself in a different place, I would always be glad and happy that I had the opportunity to work here. I gained a lot of ample experiences here as well.
So how would you describe your personality, and how do you think this personality has helped you get along with students?
Well, I wouldn't know for sure, but I do believe I have a charismatic personality. That I know, because a lot of people have mentioned that. Yes, but growing up, there were times when I was a shy person. Yes, I went to a boys' school, one of the best boys' schools in this country, if not the very best. I went to Opokuwari School. It's a top-notch school. Everybody in our Ghanaian system knows that. And over there, we had the opportunity to express ourselves. It's a single boys' school. But we also had times where we interacted with some major girls' schools in the country. For instance, like St. Louis girls, like Yas and Twa. Those were times when we had the opportunities. And growing up, I realized that at a point, I built my confidence. I believe interacting with different people at different stages has helped. I went to the university, and then over there, I had the opportunity to read sciences with a lot of people. Some people were foreign, and interacting with a lot of people has helped me to build my confidence. And I feel that it is better to have a flexible attitude. If you are someone who is very strict and unapproachable, at the end of the day, it doesn't augur well for your students. Students usually like teachers who are open-minded and are willing to listen to them. You cannot always, of course, we have to be disciplined, right? But sometimes we have to be ready to listen to the students as well. We have to learn how to build useful relationships that can help them transform to become the kind of leaders we want them to be, or to generate the kind of impacts we expect that would generate in them before they leave the school eventually. So I think I would say I'm a likable personality. Some people say I'm a bit too raw. I speak the truth on a straight dimension. I'm also outspoken in that direction. Or maybe I'm working on it, but I'm not sure. I think we all have flaws that we have to improve on. I don't know, but sometimes I just see things the way they are. It's not meant to hurt people. I'm aware of people's feelings, and I usually take that into account. But I still try to let students know when they go wrong that they have to be on the right path. That is very important for everyone.
So you mentioned earlier that your school gave the opportunity to talk to interact with other girls' schools, right?
Not just girls' schools, other boys' schools as well. But the girls are more interesting. So obviously, being a boy in a single boys' school, it was more interesting to meet the girls rather than the boys.
So did you ever have a relationship with these girls that would not be classified as a TIS relationship?
What is the definition of a TIS relationship? I need to understand that.
A TIS relationship is basically a relationship in which you are interacting with someone and you guys are helping each other both academically and extra.
Okay, yes. Mostly we developed healthy relationships. Now, I went to boys' school, and I said the girls were also in their schools. But our relationships were of a friendly nature. Because almost all the time we're in school, and we never had the opportunity to meet except on a few occasions. We met at events such as the athletics carnivals. Sometimes we went there for some field activities, let's say debates or some special societies meetings and all that. And that was the opportunity we usually had to foster these relationships with these students from other schools. So yes, we befriended a lot of girls. Those days, I wouldn't say it's too far in the past, but we mostly exchanged letters, right? And being an adolescent, yes, sometimes we wrote certain things in these letters, of course. It was part of the experiences growing up. They were interesting things, and we usually said a lot of things to these girls that were usually a little too friendly, but then that was the time. So I think it all added to the molding process. Yes, there were some of them we had the opportunity to study with, because I remember growing when I was in the WAS, I was one of the members of I was a fervent member of the academic team, which usually prepared for quizzes. So sometimes we had some friendly competitions where we underwent some form of science quizzes with some of these students from other schools, and that was also motivational because we got the opportunity to have some competitions with schools like Wesley Girls, like St. Louis, our alma mater, and some other schools like Holy Child and all of that. And that too was a wonderful experience.
Okay. So what do you enjoy doing in your free time?
Well, my free time, I play a bit of video games. I like to garden as well. There's this game I play, it's called The Ghost of Tsushima. In fact, I'm addicted to it. But it doesn't take all my time, just when I'm too tired. It's a samurai game. I've always been fascinated with Japanese culture. So I find the game very, very interesting. I'm sure some of the students will know about it. And I talk about that. But I like gardening too. A lot of gardening. I like to read as well. And not just science, because I try to read history. I have an ardent interest in history and in culture. As I said, I'm very fascinated with the Japanese culture, so I usually read a lot of philosophical books as well. So those are usually that's what I do in my home.
Tennis?
Yes, I play tennis too, as a major sport.
So seeing that you have a knack for tennis, as CIT students know, you have a knack for tennis. What influenced you to become a biology teacher instead of a tennis player? Oh
yes, growing up, I actually played football very well when I was growing up.
Football?
Yes, but my father didn't like it. Yes, he made me aware he was more interested in me pursuing the academic field. He wanted me to be a medical doctor, but at a point when I got to a certain stage, I had the opportunity to work in the hospital. I realized no, medicine wasn't cut it for me because I don't like to come into contact with any kind of blood. I've been in the hospital. It was the nastiest experience I ever encountered. I never enjoyed my time there. I saw a lot of open wounds. I can't stand all of that. I've always been interested in the research aspects of biology, working in the lab. That is why I did molecular biology at both at the degree and then the master's level, and now I am doing something else at the PhD level, which is connected to biomedical sciences. So I prefer the laboratory setting rather than the hospital, and that has been very influential in my career path. It has given me also a strong foundation in research as well. And I think I would have been a good tennis player. Just that, as we said, those days, tennis wasn't a promoted sport in Ghana. Yes, if it was a sport that was, because I remember I won the regionals once at the Upper West region. Yes, and I was very young then. I was around the age of 15. I was very good at the game.
Well, that's impressive.
Yes, it was very impressive. I got a trophy then. But as I said, because it wasn't really promoted, I never saw myself pursuing that as a career. It became easier to pursue the sciences. Because I didn't want to be a doctor, I went with biology, but I went rather into the research dimension.
Okay. So you are known around the campus for wearing the color black a lot. So the students wanted to know, what does the color black mean to you?
Yes, black means everything to me. To me, it's a style, it is a complexity, and it's something I identify with. You see, black, I feel, when I see people wearing black, it fascinates me. Yes, I don't know, when I was growing up, there was this movie I watched, Matrix, right? The Matrix Reloaded, yes. When the guys dress in black, it really gets to me. So I think it's one of the things that have directed my interest in wearing black. And I'm not going to stop wearing black anytime soon. So that one will always be on.
That's a very interesting answer. Okay. So being a teacher in TIS is a very indulging job, time consuming, everything. So how do you manage to balance your family and your work life?
Yes, my family is not even here. I stay here alone. Yes, and that has been helpful on some domains. Yes, I do get to visit my family once in a while. Mostly, I do that twice a month, and that has been very essential. It's always an alternating experience. Because being by myself, it allows me to concentrate and do what I have to do. And when I do get the opportunity to visit family too, I get very happy, and it's also another interesting thing I get to experience. So the balance, the alternation, and then the balance, it gives me that stability. So I don't see that to be much of a problem.
So I realized that a lot of TI students actually have realized that during the teacher's lunch, right, it seems like the science department is the hub of conversation, you're the center of conversation. So we all want to know, what do you guys talk about?
Oh, we talk about the general things, mainly politics in Ghana, Nana Akufo-Addo's government, some of the shortcomings, the difficulties in the country. We also talk about football a lot. I think we are all passionate about football. Not just, not Ghanaian football per se, but football, the English Premier League, the Spanish League, and then other leagues around the world. And then sometimes we also talk about things that happen in Ghana, all the funny stories that are around. Yes. So we have a wide range of interesting topics that we usually talk about. It depends on the day. Somebody brings up something interesting and then everybody will share their views. It's just the time of the day when we try to distress and then try to relax as much as we should. With regards to the amount of work that we are exposed to on a daily basis. So when we meet there, we call it a boys' hour because we do get to talk about a lot of things that are interesting. It could be anything.
Okay, what team do you support actually?
Oh, I'm a strong City fan. Okay. Yes. Okay. I like Pep Guardiola. I like his methods. He's very, very, he's a great coach. I see him to be a very great coach. So I follow City.
So it's actually funny that you brought up Ghana's government earlier on, because my next question is actually, what are your thoughts on the current government of Ghana?
Yes, I think there's a whole lot of issues, speculations ongoing. I wouldn't say I'm very political, even though I do have political dreams. Okay. Yes, I may have mentioned that I plan to aspire. I hope I'll be a president of this country someday. It's something that I intend to do. I like politics. But I think so far a lot of things haven't gone well in the country so far. I wouldn't ascribe blames to specific individuals, but I do feel that moving forward as a country and comparing our country or our economic situations to other countries, you realize that we are on the back low. The city is losing value as we speak, and I think there can be a lot of important measures that people can put in place to ensure that the living conditions of the normal Ghanaian are improved. We are just, it's not just about the denomination of the city in terms of its stability in comparison to the world market, but even the living standards of people. If you go to some of our indigenous communities, there are a lot of people who are living in abject poverty, and the government doesn't seem to have a clue as to what to do. There's no accountability. Every day we are hearing a lot of monies are being embezzled and nobody is being brought to book. And these are some of the challenges that we have. So it doesn't look like the country is on the right footing.
Okay. So bringing the topic back to TIS, what are your thoughts on the female dress code?
Yes, that is a very sensitive topic. Yes. What is the TIS dress code? I wouldn't say I know much about it. So if you could give me an insight, then I would give my views.
Well, there are lots of things in the dress code, such as girls are not allowed to wear shorts, prep, the length of your skirts, dresses, everything is monitored. You're not allowed to wear all shoulders. There are lots of things actually.
Okay. Yes, I think wearing very short skirts usually is a problem. Mostly to guys, knowing that guys are usually we call it visual orientation, right? A lot of what we see usually affects us as guys, so we expect that females should dress decently, and this is a discipline setting, this is an educational setting, so we do expect that the girls will dress appropriately so that they don't create that environment where it becomes an issue, especially to the guys who are also in their adolescence. I know as a biology teacher, I know that there is usually a barrage of hormones being released, even at this level of let's say maturity has been shown. Most of the students we have, some of you are adolescents, and the adolescent stage can be a very difficult stage. Yes. Growing up in a single boys school, we had our challenges. We were only boys there, but we also went through the adolescent stage, and it wasn't an easy stage for us. So I would say that yes, it is appropriate. Yes, I know that in current times, the girls like to look fashionable, even in uniform. It is normal. Girls want to be attractive, but in so doing, or dress attractively, but in so doing, let us ensure that we dress decently. You can dress decently and still be attractive, and that is very important, because I wouldn't like to see a situation, maybe some girls wouldn't feel good about themselves wearing very long skirts that fall to their feet. It looks like an old way of dressing, and that is also not appropriate. But the dresses shouldn't be too short. The girls should dress decently, at least. so that we still maintain the standards for which we expect all students to adhere to, even within the TIS community.
Okay. So we're coming to the end of this interview, and I would like to leave you off with a very loaded question. So first of all, how do you feel about gender roles in society?
Gender what?
Roles in society. Would you classify yourself as a feminist, and do you support the feminist movement?
It will depend. Yes. Would you clarify further what you mean by me considering myself as a feminist? With regards to what exactly?
Well, feminism is basically believing that both genders should be equal on all frontiers.
So you are looking at it from the equality context. Yes, I think that one has been established. Yes, they are saying what men can do, women can do better, isn't it? Yes, I think it's important that, a lot of women do things that are commendable in society, and I don't see why there should be an advocate for the superiority of the male gender in regards to the female, because nowadays I think interchangeably we all play the roles effectively. And I would say that yes, women have just as much rights as guys. Because today, even in our domestic settings, we expect that the women should contribute, right, to the household. Formerly, the men usually took a chunk of the responsibilities in the home. But nowadays, we have women who even provide more than the men, right? It depends. So I think it's dependent on the context, yes. But we shouldn't allow people to excel beyond their zones. The world should be free. We are open-minded. We should allow people to do what they want to do once it doesn't infringe on the rights of other people.
So you classify yourself as a feminist?
Yes, in a way, in a manner of speaking.
Okay.
I would.
So thank you, Mr. Siita. We've come to the end of today's interview. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And see you next time. Bye.
Bye.